Państwo, bardzo proszę o zajmowanie miejsc. Za chwilę rozpoczynamy sesję plenarną.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. The plenary session is about to start. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. We are just about to begin the plenary session.
Co ty kurwa śpisz?
Czekam na sygnał pana Jerzego.
Co kurwa na sygnał, żeby zdejmować krzesełka, czekasz na sygnał? Co ty nieprzytomny jesteś?
No to Julia mi powiedziała, że tyle miało być, że to jest uzgodnione.
Co ty?
Dobra. Szanowni Państwo, bardzo
Ladies
Szanowni Państwo, bardzo proszę o
Ladies
Szanowni Państwo,
and gentlemen, this is the plenary session about Europe after pandemic, solidarity, liberty, community. The participants are Svetlana Tikhanovska, the leader of Belarusian opposition, Mr. Vincenzo Bassi, the president of the European Federation of Catholic Families, FAFCE, Minister Jacek Czaputowicz, Mr. Markus Meckel, the deputy president of the Parliamentary Assembly of NATO from Germany. The session will be chaired by Luca Steinman, the journalist of the Limes journal.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this plenary session. I can welcome all our guests that are here today, which were already presented and introduced by Jakub. Thank you for that. And my name is Luca Steinman. I will moderate this session, and I won't take too much time, and I will give directly the floor to our distinguished guest, starting from Madame Tikhanovskaya. Welcome here. We heard many news
Słyszeliśmy o pani bardzo wiele różnych wiadomości w ciągu ostatnich dni i
So I'll just give you the floor, asking you, which is, according to you, the situation now in your country, what's happening, and how deep it is a consequence, how deep the uprising is a consequence of the domestic problems and domestic issues of your country.
Hello, everybody. My name is Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, and I'm considered to be a national elected president of the Republic of Belarus. You know, our country today is in a deep political crisis because our Belarusian people, after 26 years of dream, I'd say, of pressure of regime, have woken up. And this year, we really want to fight for our rights. As you know, on the 9th of August, we had elections, and these elections, as usual, were falsified. And our people knew whom they voted for. But our former president told that people has voted for him, that he got 80% of the votes. But that's not true, and our Belarusian people know this. And right after elections, they went out for demonstrations to defend their voices. And these were absolutely peaceful demonstrations. But our authorities committed violence against our peaceful people. And during 3 days, all these protests were roughly, all these people were roughly beaten. And moreover, during these 3 days, we didn't have internet, so we didn't know really what was going on in our country. But after, when people started to go out from the jails, we saw all those awful pictures of those people who were jailed, because they were beaten, they were tortured in the jails, and it was awful. And it was a great mistake of our authorities, because this crime will never be forgotten and forgiven by our Belarusian people. So after this, demonstrations were not only for the stolen votes, but also for these crimes. And for more than 3 weeks already, people of Belarus are going out to the streets every day. They are protesting against one person, against Mr. Lukashenko, because our people don't want to live with him anymore, our people don't trust him anymore, and our people will not forgive him. So I have to admit that everything what's going on in Belarus now is absolutely internal affair, and it's our duty, it's the responsibility of Belarusian people to solve this problem by ourselves. I know that all the democratic countries support our people now, and they of course would like to help our country, to help our people in the fight for their rights. And we really appreciate your support, we really appreciate all help, but we ask all the countries just to respect the sovereignty of our country, because it's only about internal affair. But in the case, if we will not manage to deal with this problem by ourselves, we maybe in the future will ask for other countries to be like mediators in future negotiations with our authorities. Because, you know, our demonstrations are absolutely peaceful, and they are still roughly pressed by authorities. Just to have a conversation, a dialogue with our authorities, we made a body that is called Coordinative Council to make this dialogue with authorities. And we just have some demands from our people towards authorities now. We want Mr. Lukashenko to step away. We want all the guilty people in those crimes bring to justify, and we want all the political prisoners to be released. So, you know, our Belarusian people want to build new country, want to build country for life, for free and safe life for their children. And I hope that in the nearest future we will manage to win. We are sure that we will have this victory, and we will set our future government, our future president will get new economic connections with all the European countries. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Madam. Before giving the floor to our other distinguished guests to comment what we now heard, I would like to ask you something else, which I believe being very important. You said you want the sovereignty of your country being respected until it will be, so you're asking, sorry, the European countries and the Western countries to respect it until at a certain point. After one point, you will ask the West to support you more. When will this point come? What should happen for this point to come when you will ask the intervention of the West and of the European partners in helping you in your country?
You know, we can't prognose really what can happen in our country because the situation can change any moment. So now our coordinative council, the presidium of our coordinative council, the members of this presidium are everybody who is in jail or who was sent abroad. So, but it is still working and it continues to work, and we are still called for the dialogue from the authorities. But we see that they ignore us, and they are, you know, they use the same methods they got to used before. It's threatenings, it's violence towards our members. So if we will see that in the nearest future that we will have no more opportunities to start this dialogue, if the violence will, you know, if they will overstep a red line, I'd say, I think we will call for such help from European countries. Just we will ask it openly, so I hope you will hear us.
Minister Chaputowicz, what should Poland do in this situation? We remember that Poland, of course, has a strong tradition of solidarity. So how deep should Poland show the solidarity in this moment?
Indeed, we are of full appreciation and admiration for the peaceful movement in Belarus, and this demonstration. Everybody in Poland observes what's going on. An enormous amount of people demonstrates its willingness to live in a democratic state. This is how we interpret. Of course, you can easily refer to our tradition of solidarity 40 years ago. It took us quite a long time to change the system, so we have to remember about that. If we refer to the 1989, so it was a moment when talks between the representation of solidarity of opposition united in the Civic Council and the authorities of regime of Jaruzelski started, and the result of that was election. First election partially democratical and then fully democratical, and subsequently change of the system. It would be an optimistic scenario. So in Belarus you have also the organization of civic society. You can compare to civic society this coordination council. But the problem is that the authorities are not willing to start negotiations, and repressions are being conducted, and so this is the difference. But what Poland is doing and what it should do, and other countries, I think that first of all, as far as our bilateral involvement is concerned, we are very much involved, as Swiatłana Tichanowska expressed it today in Warsaw. thanking Poland for mental and also material support. Of course, we can do it, and Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki already announced in Polish Parliament substantial financial support for people being repressed, and also opening in new premises Belarusian home in Warsaw today. It is a demonstration. What is important as far as Poland is concerned, that there is an agreement between the government and opposition. Everybody supports this policy. It was already one meeting organized by Prime Minister with the representative of opposition. It will be another probably next week, and it shows a unity. I think it comes from our nature of Poles attached to fight for freedom also of our neighbors of other countries. But what else should be done? I think it's crucial to maintain European Union's interest in what's going on in Belarus. So not only bilateral involvement, but European Union or even broader European society, including United States, should observe what's going on, should exert pressure first on Russia that it should not intervene into Belarusian internal affairs because it is against international law, but also on Lukashenko that he should not refer to the continuation of repression. I'm not mentioning here using force against peaceful demonstrations. So I think that it is also hope for the European Union observing what's going on in Belarus. It gives us a hope that there are people who want to fight not for material well-being, but also for some ideals like freedom, like democracy, like human rights. And let me repeat, we are full of appreciation, Svetlana, what you are doing.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mecker, would you like to comment what the minister just said? I would underline that you were one of the protagonists of the reunification of Germany back then, so you also have a strong tradition of solidarity and of people getting together. Please.
Thank you very much. At first, I would say the same way. Our solidarity from Germany and the society, there always were demonstrations in solidarity with you. There are networks of civil society and NGOs who are engaged in Belarus. I myself are chairman of the German Belarusian Association, and I know in Poland, in Lithuania, there are a lot of that, giving support if even possible. And so I think this is what we want to know. What do you think? Should we do more and more in concrete? I think it was very important that the European Union said saw and said that it was an illegal and a falsified election. I think this was a very important point, and that acknowledgement to be on your side. And our Chancellor said it in the last days, we are on your side. And I think this is a very important signal, not only from one country, but also from Germany and your neighboring countries. But there are a lot of questions for us to do it in concrete with the victims. There are a lot of victims and their families, people who are imprisoned. Do you need concrete solidarity in that? I think you are, I would say, in exile. Do you need, and Lithuania, we can happy that they did it, to take you, but there are a lot of others. I think we are asked as European countries to give you facilities to do your political work, not only in these days, but also for the future, if it's not an early end of Lukashenko. We all don't know it. The next point is, do you need, what do you think, mediation? There was the point that how to establish a round table. That was one of the ideas in your country. In Poland, we had 30 years ago a round table, similar one we had in GDR, and in Hungary it happened to have that kind of dialogue in the country itself. Do you think this would be a way for you too? Do you need international help, or would you say we would like to do it for ourselves.
Mr. Mecker, there was actually a microphone problem. I would kindly ask you to repeat quickly and clearly your last question so that it arrives clearly here. Sorry.
Do you think and do you need international help for your inner country communication? Or would you say we have to do it for ourselves in our own circles? Because we see that you are so much under pressure. The people on the streets, the coordination council, that we always ask ourselves, what can and what should we do in supporting your work?
The question, I believe the question is like to tell from your side to the European countries and to the European public opinion, what should they do and how can they do to support you in this moment, and this your moment of protest?
Thank you. I'm sorry, just it's echo here. I can't understand properly. You know, at the moment, at this very moment, I want countries to be vocal about our situation, because it's extremely important for us that international society knows what's going on in our country, that international society can see that in the 21st century, in the middle of Europe, such violence is going on, because it's awful and it's not normal, you know, in our society. We want to be a democratic country. We just want, our people want to solve by themselves what they want, how they want their country to develop. And so, you know, I think, you know, just to tell about us, other people, to tell about us to other leaders, to talk about us, to raise our question all the time inside your country and around. So I underline that our demonstrations are absolutely peaceful, and if there are any provocations from the side of our authorities, and we are really aware of this, just for you to know that it's not us who started this. We are absolutely peaceful people, and it's a fight only against one person who is clinging onto power and doesn't want our country to develop as people want. He doesn't hear us, he doesn't listen to us, and he always says that he loves his country, he loves his people, but that it isn't so. And we know this, and we don't want this person anymore in our country. So just talk about our demonstrations, talk about our people, that we are peaceful, we don't want any war, and that our fight is only inside our country. It's not about geopolitical at all, you know. I know that some countries had sanctions, personal sanctions against some people, and you know, it's fine, but it has to be up to every country. I just can't ask for this, you know, because it should be your decision. The decision of every country. So at the moment, I suppose, talk about us, be vocal, and that's it what I can ask at the moment. But in the future, maybe in the future, we will need some more help. And I know that European countries really support us. It's just not politeness, you know, it just, you really mean it when you talk that you support us. And I'm sure that if we need help, everybody will be here for us. Thank you.
Mr. Bassi, we just talked about the positions of some European countries towards Belarus and towards the solving of this situation and of this problematic situation. How do you see the position of the European Union generally? Is there a united position towards Belarus in Europe? And sorry to interrupt you. I would like remember to the speakers to hold the microphone very close to the mouth because we're having audio problems. Thank you.
Well, everybody knows that as the foreign policies, European Union makes many difficulties in order to have a unified position. And I think that we have the same problems also now. Of course, the situation now is more different, especially regarding and looking at your experience from outside. Because now we are in Poland, and the first time I saw your movement, I automatically made a link with to the experience lived here in Poland with Solidarność. Because your movement, your protest, was not born in a party secretariat, was not born in embassy or in European chancellery, was born in the family. Solidarność was not a movement of just workers, it was a movement of families. This is the difference, because when a movement comes from a family, it means that it comes from the reality. And the consequence of your movement won't be ideologically oriented because of the families. You said many times that you are the wife, you are a mother, and there are many of you who are in the street because they are alone and they represent their families. And I think this is a really new thing. That's why I'm sure that your movement could achieve some results. I don't know which one, but I'm sure that you will achieve some results because of the family, because of the reality, because you know the needs. I cannot know the needs of your country. You know the needs of your country. Your families know the needs of your country. This is the difference. We don't have to export something to your country. You have to organize your country. And as to the help, as Italian, because I'm Italian, we have many relations, we had in the past many relationships with Belarus because of the children. And as representative of the European Family Association, I can tell you that we are available to help your families. And it means every kind of help. Also, just speaking, because I know that it's difficult to speak inside. But on the other side, if you speak with other families of your normal problems in such a way that you are not isolated, please say that, because we represent families, and I'm sure that we are available to be in touch with your families without talking about politics.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mecker.
Yes, I have another question. I got messages these days from universities, because university students and even professors are very much under pressure because they take part in the demonstrations, and they are very much under pressure in their own institutions. They are imprisoned, and they are starting to change the structures, really to have lessons in freedom. And so I would like to ask you, is that international, even financial help possible to organize it, or would you say it's difficult? Another question is, there's the idea which we had in earlier events that parliamentarians from other countries, I think for instance from Poland, from Germany, from Ukraine, coming and visit Minsk and visit the demonstrators and have talks and make a fact-finding mission in solidarity with the demonstrations. Do you think it is helpful to initiate such kind of symbolic visit, or do you think it was seen, or will it be seen from your side as an intervention?
So how important is the symbolic support in this moment? That's mainly the question.
Yeah. Schikan.
Solidarity is absolutely important for us now, because we understand that we are not alone, that people around, not only politicians, but also usual people, are concerned about the situation in our country. And you mean that if other people from other countries will come to Belarus and see and support what's going on? Yes, it will be absolutely fine. You will be able, any person will be able to see from inside what's going on. They will be able to talk to other students, to talk to other workers, just to see their opinion, to see why they are going out, why they are demonstrating. So, and all these organizations of different marches in different cities are also very important, because we see that we are important.
Thank you. I would change topic now, but before I would like to our distinguished guests to comment, to give comments or talks about what we just said. If you have anything, if you have something to say, Minister, please.
I fully agree with this discussion and the conclusions. Of course, we have to demonstrate support, but also I'm thinking about the role of the European Union. So bilaterally, we are okay. Poland, Germany, Lithuania, other countries are involved, but I agree that European Union as a community of values have to be monitoring the situation and be more and more involved, because European Union has legitimacy and it is the power with or the organization, entity with which Vladimir Putin will refer to and we have to take into consideration. Of course, Russia is an important player here, but the European Union is a normative power for us. It is about values. Also, it is about projection of values. And for me, Belarus is a center of Europe. It is not a European Union, but it is the closest possible neighborhood of the European Union, and it is on the European continent. So no excuse for the European Union if it's not involved. And of course, fact-finding mission from European Parliament, other institutions are crucial. Multilateral involvement would be here very important. And I also observe a change of thinking, very positive one, also in Germany, concerning the awareness of the very negative role of Russia in the region and the discussion about stopping Nord Stream 2 after Navalny poisoning case. It's very important. So it is a strong signal. It must be continued to the Russians not to interfere into the Belarusian internal affairs. And so we have to create, not interfering ourselves, but to create an environment in which Belarusian society may explain their willingness and elect the new government to repeat elections, to live in dignity, to live in democracy, because it is already aspiration of the Belarusian nation, and we have to take into consideration that, and we are also responsible for defending Belarusian on that way.
Thank you, Minister. You already introduced the subject of Russia. I wanted to introduce Mr. Mecca. You wanted to add something about this?
I totally agree with what said. And I think that we need better structures in European Union for that. So I think European Union should establish a special envoy for Belarus to have a long-term attention for that in the structural one, because situation is so much changing and we need flexibility, and that needs a concrete person dealing with that, to be in contact with civil society, even to be in contact with administration. And there is a part of administration, I assume, in the background, which is not free until now, really to split. But we will see what will happen inside. And so I think this is a very important point, to have a structure for the future for that special issue. And Russia, I totally agree. We have to make clear that it would be a high price for Russia if it would intervene in this case. I think this should be said, this should be clear, and we, on the one hand, stay on your side. On the other hand, we should not instrumentalize you in our relation, in your relations with Russia. We know that Belarus needs a good cooperation with Russia, and we should accept it.
Mr. Bassi, the floor is yours.
Well, I think just when I was invited in this panel, I put in yourself, because I think that for you it's very hard to take on this responsibility. And sometimes when you have to struggle so much against this situation, it seems a very huge situation. As I am a father, I couldn't imagine myself in your place. It's very difficult. On the other side, I think that one thing you can do very well. This movement is your movement, is a movement of your country. Everybody can give you advice, but one thing shouldn't change is the fact that you are defending not an abstract idea, not an abstract value. You are defending your families, and they cannot do anything against your families. If you will keep this path, this goal, I'm sure that it's just a question of time. Of course, it's difficult also to manage a situation. The stimulation are very much from everywhere. But if you look at the eyes of your children and of your friends, you will know very well the time to do this changing. Because now we are living a changing of epoch, and we trust very much to you, because the democracy has been born in a family. And it's not a case, just in a family we can have reality. If you consider that, I'm sure that you will take the best solution, the best decision for your country, because your problems could be assessed just by you.
Thank you very much. We have now 15 more minutes time, because then we have to leave the room due to sanitary reasons. I would then invite all the panelists to try to be, as you already have been now, very concrete, in this last 15 minutes, and to discuss about very concrete issues. We already spoke about Russia. I would like to know your opinion about it, and especially your opinion, madam. Do you think that the Kremlin will ever accept a democratic, sovereign country in Belarus, or do you think that it's not going to be ever accepted by the Kremlin?
Russia plays an important role in the life of the Republic of Belarus, because we have trade relationships, and we, at the moment, we have some договоренности. I forgot English word. I'm sorry. So we deal with Russia, and we can't just show our back to Russia. They always will be our neighbors, and we want to be friendly with them, of course. But we are aware of the situation that our so-called president asked for help from Russia, and this help was like help us with police, just in case we need it. And this I consider as, of course, there is no any reason to get this help from Russia, because our demonstrations are absolutely peaceful. And I know that Mr. Lukashenko is going to meet with Mr. Putin on Monday, yeah, and we really don't know what they are going to talk about, because our authorities never tell the people about their plans, of these conversations, and it's a pity, of course. So we ask for every country, including Russia, to respect our sovereignty, and we don't want any of them to interfere into this internal affair. So, it's a really difficult question about Russia, and we want just to understand that it's not about Russia, it's not about Europe, it is about our country. What matters is just desire of our people, of Belarusian people, to build new country for life, to decide how they want to develop, in what country they want to live. And we want to be friends with every neighboring country. We don't want to quarrel with anybody, but we ask every country, just at the moment, leave us with our problems. We want to solve them by ourselves, and I have to say that on the 5th of November, the legitimacy of our so-called president, Mr. Lukashenko, will be absolutely finished. And it's up to every country just to decide how they will behave after this date. Just we ask, so as we understand that he has stolen our elections, he is not legitimate in the eyes of Belarusian people, and he will not be legitimate at all, even according to the law, he will not be legitimate. So I want all the countries to think over this question, how you will treat this person after the 5th of November. We inside our country know that he is not our president anymore. So I ask you to think over this question precisely. Thank you.
So, please, Mr. Mecker, then Minister, and Mr. Basti would like to add something. I would just give you a suggestion. I think it is very important to also describe how the European Union should act in this situation without creating problems between Belarus and Russia that could affect this movement. So, please, Mr. Mecker.
I made that proposal with a special envoy, but my question now is to you, is there a position in the Coordination Council about that dialogue you need in your own society? We have all seen that Lukashenko is taking his Kalashnikov and not ready for dialogue. He tries to solve the problem with violence. Hopefully he will fail. But the kind of dialogue, do you have, not only you personally, but also, is there a consensus? Was there a chance to get a consensus in that Coordination Council for steps of dialogue, or is it too early to answer that question? In my view, it would be my own experience that it is very crucial to look for special ways of consensus in that way of a kind of roundtable, because You have the opposition, the civil society is not really a structured organization. And you have on the other side an authoritarian administration, an authoritarian-led administration. Have you experiences with administration of the local level where it was possible to do something in common?
Minister, please.
I think it's a question if Russia will accept sovereign Belarus. I think it is rather a question if it accepts democratic Belarus, because we can say that this authoritarian system, the state with Lukashenko, is to a certain extent sovereign. But the problem is with acceptance democracy, because it changes the internal system and it gives the nation, the society, power to choose its own way of development and in future maybe also alliances. So it is at stake. It's a very substantial change related to internal development of Belarus, which is very positive for Europe, because the more democratic countries, societies, the better. It's in accordance with our values. Of course, I think the countries are aware about the date, 5th of November, legitimacy of Lukashenko. If he remains, very probable, then everything he signs could be questioned. Validity of agreements he signs afterwards could be questioned if he's not recognized by international community. Of course, difficult to say now what would be the reaction of the European Union. But in my opinion, definitely consultations are going on. There are different opinions among countries. We hear it, we know it from press. But it is important to maintain European common position. And I see an option that this issue will be dealt in a coordination between the European Union and also Russia, recognizing its role, also the perception, but also positive perception within Belarus. So it is possible, an optimistic scenario is possible that it will be a process, evolution, peaceful evolution of a system. Final end would be an election and democratic system. But of course, also there are question marks concerning that issue.
Thank you. We have 6 more minutes. I will give the floor now to Mr. Bassi, and then I would ask you madam, to say something to answer to the questions and to the aspect that the other panelists said. Mr. Bassi, please.
I think that the European Union should play a very important role, as you said, in helping the opposition to have a good relationship with Russia.
Moderating almost.
This is for me very important. On the other side, the opposition should be pure, should be as it is now. You should be patient, because I'm sure that also in view of the experience in Poland, no one can do something wrong or too strong against the association of families. It was the same also in Poland. If you remained pure, strict on your experience, on your ideal, on your reality, without having any influence from outside, I think that you will save your ideas, your movement, and the sovereignty of your state.
Madam, do you agree on it? And would you like to give a final comment to us about the topics you heard today?
I want to say thank you that we are gathering here together, that we are talking about Belarus, that you are really involved in the situation in Belarus, that you support our people in our fight for democracy, for our rights, and we really want to be a democratic country in the future. And we have really difficult period of our history, but as I have already said, our people have woken up. We don't want to live in this regime anymore. We understand that there are a lot of problems now, but we want to solve them. We have to solve them. We don't want to be slaves in our country anymore. So we will try to solve these problems by ourselves. But we need your attention. We need your support. We need your pieces of advice, of course. Because we haven't heard any other president for more than 26 years, and we want to feel how it is to have new president, how to decide for ourselves, how to move further in our development, how it is for our people to decide by themselves, because we never had a word in our country. Nobody listened to us, nobody gave a word to us, so we want these changes. And our people are absolutely ready for these changes. And for this, we want new elections, fair and transparent, in the result of which we want to choose by ourselves, to choose new president for our country. And I'm sure that this person, whoever he will be able to decide step by step all the problems with European Union, with European countries, with Russia, and with everything. So just support us in our will for new elections, for our will to build new country by ourselves. Thank you for such interest in our country, and we really need it now, and we really appreciate it. And I'm, as representative of my nation now, can say thank you so much for what's going on here. It's only for Belarus, only for Belarusian people, and your support is priceless. Thank you so much for this.
And we thank you, madam, and we thank and an applause to all our panelists as well. Thank you very much to everyone. We're taking pictures now. And then, very important, I would kindly ask you to leave then all the room when we will be done with this, because we need to sanify all the room. So again, thank you very much to our guests. Thank you to the speakers. And pictures time.